Hey, this is Kyle Stowers, and you're listening to Fish on First.
Welcome into Fish on First Live, part of the Foul Territory Network. Isaac Azouk, Kevin Barral, Jeremiah Geiger with you today. A lot to talk about. Marlins take 2 out of 3 from the Chicago White Sox, back-to-back series wins to open up the year. They're now 5-1 to start the season. And the story of today's game, though, is Sandy Alcantara. 9 innings, no runs, complete game shutout. Fantastic outing from El Caballo. I want to start by welcoming Isaac to the stage to talk about what you saw from him today, because it was a masterpiece.
Yeah, halfway through my recap, I didn't know which direction to go in here because Sandy was on his way to a Maddox like he did fulfill, and meanwhile you had Liam Hicks just continuing his torrid start to the season. So obviously Sandy Alcantara was able to complete the 13th complete game of his career, the 5th shutout, and his first in almost 3 years. The last one being against the Minnesota Twins in April of 2023. And yeah, we know he performed really well towards the end of last year, but I think this was just a different gear for Sandy. You know, this was efficiency at its finest. He got 2 pitches. He got 2 outs on 2 pitches to begin the game. And then for the rest of the game, he did not have to throw more than 15 pitches a single inning. He was averaging less than 10 pitches per inning from the 4th on. And it was just, I think this is as close as we've seen to vintage Sandy that we have since that 2022 Cy Young Award season. And then on top of that, just to see the smile on his face, like I said, we've seen some glimpses of it last year, but the smile on his face at the end of this game was something special, something different. And it's great to see El Caballo back where he belongs, which is on top.
Kevin, your thoughts on the shutout?
It was awesome. As Isaac said, I mean, we look at these back-to-back games, and this is the Sandy we saw in 2022. Efficient, getting the ground balls that he needed, getting in just enough strikeouts to say he was dominant, and he really was. And I know you talked about it's the Rockies, it's the White Sox, but Sandy needed this. He needed to start the season off on a high note, and he certainly has. And I don't think there's a better bullpen in baseball that is more rest than the Marlins right now. They didn't pitch today. They don't pitch tomorrow because it's the off day, and they get just a little bit of more time before the series against the Yankees. So, no, this is awesome for Sandy. The velo was there from start to finish. Got a lot of whiffs. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better start for Sandy. That changeup was as good as it gets, and the slider sweeper combo was good as well. So, no, great outing for Sandy, and 13th career complete game, 3rd most in franchise history.
13th career complete game. What I think is super awesome about this start in particular is, it's the White Sox, and I understand that, and it's the Rockies, I understand that, but the thing is, these are still Major League Baseball teams, and last year Sandy struggled. It didn't matter who the opponent was in the first half of the season, he struggled, and it was important for him to come out on the right foot and just be himself, be dominant, and that's what he is. He's looking like shades of 2022 all over again. That's how good he's pitched so far to start the year. There's going to be stiffer competition, no doubt. Absolutely. And that's something to monitor. But it literally could not get any better for him, for the Marlins right now, 5-1. And like you said, Kevin, I like that point you mentioned about the bullpen. The bullpen is rested. And this is a pretty decent bullpen. I think we're going to talk about that later on in the stream. But yeah, I'm super thrilled because Sandy, there was a big question mark for me personally coming off of last season, and probably a lot of the listeners, the watchers of this stream, Marlins fans, we wondered, is Sandy going to be the same pitcher? Can he replicate or get back anywhere close to that level of success we saw earlier in his career? Obviously, when he won the Cy Young Award back in 22, had a really rough 2025. And when we did our roundtable, guys, he was my bounce back candidate because I believed in what I saw the second half of that season. And early on, we're seeing that momentum from last August, last September carry on into this season. It's a great thing to see. Any lasting thoughts on this particular Sandy outing, guys, before we move on?
Just great. Just the efficiency, the Maddox of being under 100 pitches for the complete game. It was just really exciting to see, and just some fun stats. That's 16 straight innings to start the season without an earned run allowed. I think obviously, it's fine that they took him out on opening day, but imagine, let's say they let him do it and he finished the game and he finished this one as well. Like back-to-back complete games for Sandy was not out of the question. A different organization or different front office maybe lets him finish the 9 innings on opening day, despite it being the first game of the season. But just to start, I don't think that anyone could have asked for a better start to the season for Sandy. And some historic of art, I guess, one that he has more complete games than a lot of major league teams, including the Red Sox and the Giants. Among active MLB pitchers with at least 13 complete games, the only ones are Justin Verlander, Chris Sale, and Sandy Alcantara. And I guess the last thing, this 16-inning scoreless streak is the 4th longest by a starter by Miami to open a season, trailing Dontrelle Willis, who did it a couple of times, and Josh Beckett in 2005 with 19 innings. The record is 24 innings by Dontrelle. So, Sandy just needs 5 innings against the Reds in his next start to beat that record of consecutive innings without allowing an earned run. So, fantastic stuff from El Caballo. We'll see how the season goes, but hopefully I smell another 200-inning season by Sandy.
Let's talk about the Marlins offense for a little bit, because in the Rockies series, I know they got the sweep, but there was a little part of me that felt, they could have lost this series to a better team because they weren't putting up a lot of runs. And then the first game of the White Sox series, they only scored 4 runs. And then with their backs against the wall, a lot of people are like, oh, they're going to lose this series to the White Sox of all teams. They explode. 9 runs. Yesterday evening, 10 runs today, 19 runs over the last 2 games, contributors from all over the lineup. The obvious guy that we got to start talking about, though, is Liam Hicks, because this guy is unbelievable right now to start 2026. Completely unexpected. But his start, he's 7 for 15, 3 home runs, leads Major League Baseball in RBIs with 12. An OPS 1.65. I mean, the guy is unreal. I think he's making a real argument to be in the everyday lineup. What did you see, Isaac, at the ballpark from Liam before the game, after the game? Just like, this start is so unexpected, and it's great to see.
It's awesome to see just all the hard work that he put in the offseason, putting on size, swinging a little bit faster, and it come to fruition right away, right? This is a guy that hit 2 home runs at Lone Depot Park all of last year. And now he's got 3 already in his first 5 games. It's just spectacular to see. You see the pop. You see the extra juice. He's doing this while catching a complete game shutout by Sandy Alcantara. But yeah, the bat-to-ball skill has always been there for Liam. He's always going to hit right-handed pitching very well. He even holds his own against left-handed pitching. He's one of the few guys, maybe aside from Stowers and Marcy, that I can see him still being in the lineup against left-handed pitching. I don't hate that at all, and I think that should continue. He also set a Marlins record with 11 RBI. I think he finished with 12. He has 12 on the season so far, but just the 11 through the first 5 games to start the season broke a Marlins record for most RBI in the team's first 5 games. So just spectacular stuff from Liam Hicks. And that's just not even talking about the great start that Xavier Edwards has had. Not even to talk about a few other guys that have gotten off to really good starts offensively. But yeah, Liam Hicks, Team Canada. It's been really fun to watch. And that whole Team Canada team, it's Otto, Casey, and Liam. They've all been pretty well. They've all done pretty well so far. So it's pretty fun to see.
Yeah, one thing to know with Hicks is just the bat speed. So much faster. We're talking about this, and that's leading to a lot more power. I mean, Liam Hicks going into today's game was averaging his average exit velo was 96.6 miles per hour. And last year, it was like around 84, 86 miles per hour. So that's a huge jump. He's swinging the bat a lot faster. The average bat speed, I think, is around 70 miles per hour now, which isn't fast, but it's still, impressive for someone like Liam Hicks. Last season was averaging like 67-ish miles per hour, and he's swinging it a lot faster. So great to see Liam Hicks really come in and step up, and they're going to need him because he's going to play a lot of first base. He's going to catch. I think people forget he caught Sandy today. So, and I know he's not calling the game, but I still think catching a complete game shutout has some value to that. And just what he did offensively, along with what he is doing, behind the plate is certainly impressive. So good for Hicks. I just noted it. Xavier Edwards off to a quiet start, but a quietly awesome start. Like no one's talking about it because we talk about Casey, who's off to a great start, Otto, who had the homer today, Conan had a homer yesterday. I mean, these last 2 games was really what this Marlins offense needed to get things going finally and set themselves up for what should be a very tough matchup against a very good New York team so far to get things going.
I think that's the main difference from last season to this season is that, at least to start the season, you're seeing contributors from literally everywhere in the lineup. At some points a season ago, it felt like if Kyle Stowers wasn't on fire, Augustine Ramirez wasn't slugging home runs, this lineup kind of had a very just going with the flow, not really going to do too much. They're going to roll over. And now pitchers have to worry about the 7 through 9 hitters. Graham Pauley today hit a frozen rope to the outfield that almost went out, almost had a home run. He doubled. I mean, guys are contributing all over the lineup. It's great to see Javier Sanoja as well. And what I think is really cool, and it's an advantage that the Marlins have, is their flexibility. We've seen different lineups. Liam Hicks has hit cleanup now multiple times. Not a lot of people expected that. Owen Casey, his start to the season, top prospect. The guys are showing up. They're hungry. They believe in each other. And I like this comment, Team Canada right there. I saw a tweet earlier. I think it was John Morosi asking for a nickname for the 3 guys. And then Christina retweeted it. So I came up with the Maple Mashers. That's my personal choice. I don't know if you guys have any thought on that.
Yeah, I think Maple Masher is reserved for Owen Casey individually, but for a group of them, I saw some good ones out there on Morosi's tweet. Some I will not discuss, and a couple other ones that were pretty funny. I think someone said the Snowbirds, which was pretty funny. But yeah, we'll have to put our brains together and think of a good one, because really, it really is incredible how all 3 of them are going to be really pivotal pieces of this team going forward, and not just for this year. I think for a very long time.
Kevin, what do you think about the offense in terms of its improvement from last year to this season as a whole? Do you think that the strides they're taking are tangible, or is this just a flash in the pan to start the season?
I think the approaches continue to be good. I think those keep to improve. I mean, the Marlins are putting the ball in play. I think the stolen bases, at least more stolen bases, will come soon enough. I'm really curious what the lineup looks like at full strength. The Kyle Stowers in there. I'm not going to say Ruiz or Morel because those guys are, wild cards at this point. But I'm curious to see what a lineup with Stowers looks like with a little bit more juice in it. But no, I mean, overall, it's been good. I think it's still too early. I think as much as they are major league teams, you do need to play a team like the Yankees. You need to come back and play a team like the Reds. Then go to Detroit, I believe, is where they go. So I think you need to see that before you really make a complete judgment on this team, or at least on the offensive side of things, because you need to see them go up against a little bit of tough pitching.
How about this bullpen? Because I know I teased it earlier in the show. We have to talk about it, because heading into the season, a lot of us felt like this bullpen could be sneaky good. And they made a couple of additions. John King, the left-hander. Pete Fairbanks obviously was the splash signing. Got him on a 1-year deal, $13 million, which is the most money they've spent under Peter Bendix as the president of baseball operations. And early on, Fairbanks is getting a ton of work, looking really good. And this bullpen suddenly looks like a strength of the Marlins team, that when this team is ahead in the 7th, this late 6th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning, they can turn it over to these power arms and get outs and close out ball games. I'm really excited for the rest of the season just to see how Clayton utilizes these guys. Fairbanks obviously has the potential, if the Marlins are winning, to be a really, really good closer and get a lot of saves. Any particular standouts, Isaac, individually from the bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it on Unfiltered the other day with AJ and Kevin that I think the bullpen is by far the strength of this team. And as it turns out, the offense is as well. And so is the starting pitching at this point. But in terms of the bullpen, you just have really a bona fide closer, something that the Miami Marlins have not had in a very long time for several reasons. And then you add a John King, who I think is just as reliable as they come from the left side of the mound. And I think he's also he's just a really smart pitcher. He knows what he's doing. He's a ground ball pitcher. He can get swing and miss. And I think he's going to be extremely valuable and versatile to be used in several different spots. And just you look at the top guys that can close games out for a team that maybe doesn't have a Fairbanks and Fauché and Bender. Those are some pretty nasty guys. And then at the bottom part of the depth chart of that bullpen, you have Lake Bacher, you have Tyler Phillips, and you have Michael Peterson, who can also probably close games out for you with the stuff that they have. So it's just almost a limitless bullpen that Clay McCullough has to play with here. And not only that, you go down to AAA Jacksonville with some really fun, intriguing arms that they have in their bullpen as well, and a couple that actually started the season in AA Pensacola. So it's just when Peter Bendix took over following the 2023 season, he said layers and layers of talent in this organization. And, not to just kiss a bunch of ass, but you're starting to see it. You really are starting to see it in all facets of an organization, all facets of a team, starting pitching, relief pitching, and hitting. You're seeing the layers of talent, and it's really fun to see it come up in the major league level.
Kevin, any thoughts on the pen?
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's really good to watch. The Marlins, thankfully, these stats aren't updated because Sandy did a great job today, but they have a 0.51 ERA, which is at the top of the majors. And right below them, funny enough, are the Yankees. So this should be a very interesting matchup in terms of starting pitching, and then you look at the bullpens that have been lethal so far. Marlins have the best bullpen in Major League Baseball right now, and the numbers say it. And they're not walking a lot of guys. I think they've walked 2 guys in total this season. I think 3. So, and they've only allowed 1 run. So the Marlins bullpen has been a strength. It was a strength during spring training, and I think we're seeing guys like an Andrew Nardi, who was really a wild card. You really didn't know what you were expecting, but the velo all of a sudden is a lot higher than what it was in spring training. He's getting a lot of strikeouts. And as Isaac mentioned, I think Pete Fairbanks is the Marlins' first true closer, I would say, since maybe AJ Ramos. I mean, I think he doesn't go that far back. Funny enough, our guy AJ. Like a true closer. I know Kinsler was there in 2020, but Pete Fairbanks is so good, man. The cutter is so good. It's such a good pitch, a pitch that he is using a lot more. The Marlins want him to use it a lot more. So, yeah, no, this has been a good bullpen. I'm excited to see what it looks like this weekend. The 2 best bullpens in baseball going up against each other. So that should be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, and just so as the great Golly Sharoni mentioned on her Twitter that the Marlins bullpen does rank first in Major League Baseball with a minuscule 0.51 earned run average. That is 1 earned run, and they're 17 2/3 innings pitched. Obviously, they were not needed today. And, it's a long season. Granted, it's against 2 really mediocre opponents, but give credit where credit's due. The White Sox can hit. The White Sox can hit a little bit, and they've got some real poppers in that lineup. So it wasn't just a walk in the park for Sandy today. It's a good ball club. I like what they're doing, and I think this series was more impressive than the Rockies one.
No, I agree. I think the confidence in the Marlins' growth as a franchise, as an organization, has increased. Then after the Rocky series, yeah, it's exciting. You start 3-0, but to see 19 runs over 2 games, and then the bullpen as it is, Sandy looked good. Real quick before we move on to a different topic, Andrew Nardi. I know, Kevin, you mentioned him, but I was impressed just watching the stuff from him. I think it was last night or the night before. I might be mistaken, but he looks really, really good. Anthony Bender, who has spent time on the injured list last year, looked really, really good. That Frisbee sweeper is just disgusting. We do have to talk about, though, the back end of the rotation. I think that's important to mention because we saw 2 starts from Jansen Junk, and Chris Paddock didn't go particularly well. Isaac, start off with Chris Paddock.
Yeah, I had the privilege of covering that ball game. Paddock, he looked great through the first 2 innings. He actually was perfect through the first 2 frames. He led up a leadoff double, was about to get out of it. Then Daniel Moskis made an ill-timed mound visit. I don't know what was discussed. And then after that, just a couple of tough luck hits by the White Sox. A little bloop single to the outfield. Murakami reached on a swinging bunt. And then you get Austin Hayes that hit a 3-run home run. And the following inning, the wheels just fell off. Grand slam on a pitch that I'm sure Chris would tell you that he definitely did not locate it where he would have liked. Vargas, who just had a hell of a series, hit a grand slam to put the game away. So I think it was a combination of just him getting his feet under him a little bit and just being a victim of really tough luck in that start. I think he's going to be a lot better than what he showed on Monday night. but also Miami needs to be a little bit realistic as to what they can expect. If you can get 140 innings, 150 innings of a 4.5 ERA from Paddock, I think that's a huge win for a relatively small investment of $4 million.
We welcome in Alex Krutchik into the show. Alex, what are your thoughts on the homestand? Marlins take 2 out of 3. They're off to a 5-1 start. It's impressive.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most impressive homestands that they've ever had to open up a season, at least in the Marlins Park era, the Miami Marlins era. And what was nice is outside of today, obviously, today was crazy. Outside of today, they won using the exact blueprint that we thought they would win with. Like, it wasn't a bunch of unsustained ways of doing it. A lot of very good pitching, both from the starting pitching and the bullpen, and the offense just got timely hits. They got their walks, they got their singles. Once in a while, you get a double, drive home all the runners. That was especially the case in the Pittsburgh series. So it's nice because they're not, like I said, they're not just winning, they're winning in the exact ways that we thought that they would.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's really good to see 5-1 again. Real quick, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we have a lot more in store, including previewing the Yankees series this upcoming weekend, wrap up thoughts on the homestand. That's coming up after this quick break from our friends over at Blue Chew.
This one's for the dudes looking for peak bedroom performance.
Blue Chew is the #1 chewable ED brand, and they just dropped their newest innovation. It is called Blue Chew Gold.
Blue Chew Gold dissolves under your tongue and works in as little as 15 minutes. Peak passion and peak performance in a single tablet.
That's right. 2 ingredients for blood flow mixed with apomorphine and oxytocin to turn up the arousal and connection in your brain and body. This is the future of performance. Faster, smarter, and precision engineered for results. See why millions of men trust Blue Chew. Now with a gold standard upgrade that's changing the game for good. Make life easier and discover your options at bluechew.com. And we've got a special deal for our FT listeners. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with code FOUL. That's promo code FOUL. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
Kevin, you need any? I got you. You're muted.
Foul territory's got us now, right? Come on.
Okay, well, if you have any problems in the boudoir, just let us know. We'll take care of you.
So let's talk a little bit about AAA because they're the only affiliate playing right now. The rest of minor league baseball starts to get into their season. AAA is a loaded level for the Miami Marlins. I think there's a lot of players that could be up here. If this was maybe the 2024 Marlins, you'd probably see some of these guys. Obviously, Davison De Los Santos made his debut with Miami, quickly got sent back down, but I really like the level of talent that AAA has down in Jacksonville. The one player I want to mention quickly before turning it over to Kevin, and then we'll go to Alex Krutchik, is Robbie Snelling, because I think it's inevitable that Snelling is going to make his debut at some point in the near future. I just do. Briefly touched on the back end of the rotation, Paddock and Junk. Junk has a problem getting through lineups. He just does. He's great first time, second time, third time. He struggles. He gets hit hard. Chris Paddock, I think he fills up the zone too much. Robbie Snelling is ready. What do you think, Kevin, about Robbie Snelling? Any other current jumbo shrimp that you could see up here contributing for the Marlins soon?
I think Andrew Pintar has been pretty good. When you look at the position player side of things, he's gotten off to a good start, getting on base. I know he's not – I don't think the actual average shows much or even the OPS, but he is getting on base. He got hit. He was walking. He's a fast guy. You thought he could have been a potential option early to make the opening day roster after some of these injuries did happen. But I think they wanted him to get everyday at bats, and he has that chance in Jacksonville, and he's healthy. He dealt with some injuries last season. So I'm curious to see how much longer it takes for him to come up. I think it'll take him a bit just because of the depth that they have and the guys that will be returning from injuries soon with Stowers and Ruiz. Then you look at the rotation, as you noted, Robbie Snelling's probably the biggest name to look at right now, just given prospect pedigree. He looked fine in his first outing. I think he dealt with a little bit of control issues, but outside of that, he looked really good. Then you have Braxton Garrett, not a prospect, but worth noting, he is in AAA. He got the Sunday start. He looked fine. I think he threw 4 innings. He looked fine. I think he definitely could have been an option for the rotation. Maybe they just wanted to build up a little more. I do think he'll be back up at some point this season, especially if things with Junk begin to go south. If he begins to struggle, or even Paddock, who knows? I don't think they'll cut their losses with Paddock soon. But I think with Meyer, even if he begins to struggle and they think he can't be a starter anymore, they'll go to Brax, who would be, I believe, the only lefty in the rotation. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. Outside of that, I mean, unfortunately, Thomas White's injured. Davison had a great first 2 games in Jacksonville. Got the call back to the first one, returned and hit a home run. And I guess another ninja shout out is Martorella. He got off to a good start. We'll see what happens with him. He stepped at this point, unfortunately, was required in that Luis Arias trade, I believe. And he's looked okay to begin the season. So we'll see. Liam Hicks making it tough to have 3 catchers, but yeah, that's for Joe Mack to come up soon. But AAA looks good. I mean, that's where a lot of the guys right there at the major league level are, and I'm sure you'll see a good bit of them this season.
Krutchik, thoughts on the jumbo shrimp? Any prospects that you want to see up? Maybe Davison De Los Santos, another round 2 when he gets his second chance with the fish.
Yeah, I really, really like what we've seen from Davison De Los Santos this year. I know that it's an easy thing to say. I know that that's the easy answer because that's the first guy on everyone's mind, especially with his call-up a few days ago. But specifically, he's getting power behind him, and that was the biggest reason that I actually didn't think that they would call him up as quickly as they did because, he brought his strikeout rate down last year. It was actually a career low, if I remember correctly, at least a career low at the AAA level. So he's getting better at putting the bat on the ball, but up until recently, he hasn't been able to translate that power at all to sea level. Because remember, before he was it the Pacific Coast League? Whichever league it was on the West Coast at altitude, dry air. And so we knew that there would be a drop-off in power production when he got here. But even by East Coast sea level standards, he was not lighting the world on fire by any means in the power department, but now he is, at least in a small sample size.
There's a couple comments here from our watchers. Let's Get Louder, LMF. Wanted to ask this now that we're on the topic of the jumbo shrimp. Will Jacob Berry ever see an MLB at bat? I think you're gonna see him eventually, maybe at some point. Isaac, any good read on this, on the Jacob Berry situation?
Well, if history repeats itself, he's going to struggle mightily to begin this season with Jacksonville. And then in the second half of the year, he's going to be unstoppable. And depending on what the Marlins are doing at the highest level, you may or may not see him get an opportunity. I think you're going to see him this year at some point. This guy was a college draft pick in 2022, 6th overall, I might add. And I think, it's 4 years later. They're going to try and see him. It's not that he doesn't have anything left to prove in AAA. It's more so just, okay, let's just get this over with. Sort of similar to what happened with Conine. They gave him an opportunity. It turned out really well. With Barry, who knows? It's a switch hitter who has a good feel for the bat. The power, I don't know what it's going to look like. In defense, you're just going to hold your breath and pray. But I think you're going to see Jacob Berry at some point this year, and it's going to be a lot of fun. He's not on the 40-man, so it'll take a couple of injuries or really bad performances from others before he gets one, but I think he gets a shot at the highest level this year.
It's crazy to say, but early on, Jacob Berry's actually looked decent on defense. I think he's played a little bit of the corner infield spots. He's looked fine. But yes, his defense is not good. I think there's no other way to say it. And you're right. Jacob Berry's never gotten off to good starts. I don't know how he's gotten off so far in Jacksonville. But yeah, I think he will be up at some point. He's a first-round pick. You got to give him a chance at some point. And if things go south for the Marlins and you want to see what you got in certain guys, he's definitely one of those. I think that falls into that. Let's see what we got category.
Have another comment here from Colin. He's asking about when will DDLS get called up again, Davison De Los Santos. Yeah, I think it's inevitable he gets called up again. It just depends on how he fares in AAA. I think the Marlins feel he still has approach issues, some swing and miss chase issues that he's got to work on and would probably get exposed if he played a lot and got a ton of at-bats at the major league level. Krutchik, do you think the same thing with Davison De Los Santos, that we'll probably see him later on, maybe in the summer at some point?
Yeah, definitely. This is one of those things where I really think that it's all based on injuries and health in the starting lineup, just like how it was earlier this year. Unless he really, really tears the cover off the ball and shows that his approach has improved immensely, I don't really know if there's room for him, but there's, over the course of a 162-game season, there's always going to wind up being room. It's possible maybe they fall out of love with Connor Norby and end that experiment to first base. Although I will say defensively, Norby's been fine at first base. But if they don't even want him in the lineup anymore, he's been okay. He hasn't been bad. But if they don't want him in the lineup anymore, regardless of position, then they might want to bring up Davison De Los Santos. I do think that we'll see him again. It's the same thing with pitchers, where like people always ask, is there going to be room for this AAA pitcher who's been really good? And it's like, well, yeah, like your infield is never going to be healthy all year long. At some point, a first baseman's going to get hurt, or at some point, someone else is going to get hurt, and one of your first basemen now is going to have to go cover that position. So he'll be up at some point. Just a spot has to be made for him.
I also think that falls into, obviously Morel's going to start the season a little bit later, but like if he comes in and he's just not good, and the first base thing doesn't look much better, like I would look at Morel before I look at Norby, because Norby's in the team control for a little bit longer, although technically Morel does have 2 more years of club control, but it's a weird situation there. But yeah, I mean, I think you look at those two guys, Norby and Morel, who I agree with you, Krutchik. He has looked fine at first base. He's getting the job done. No errors yet, no mess ups. He's looked good for the most part.
No errors yet. There's a whole big thing on why you should not take errors or lack thereof.
I'm not saying errors. I'm not saying. I'm just saying that the numbers look good so far. So I'll give him a break so far.
Opening day.
He was tested a lot this homestand, to be honest with you.
This is granted, there's no true first baseman on the roster. He's like the 6th best defensive first baseman on the active roster. Let's be real here.
Do you want to name the other 5?
Liam Hicks by far is better. Graham Pauley is way better. Javier Sanoja would do a better job. At first, 100% he did.
No, Sanoja, are you kidding me?
No.
I guarantee you, Otto Lopez would do better at first base. Griffin Conine has played.
Otto Lopez would be great anywhere. He's so good.
Isaac, Conine's never played first base unless it was spring training a game or two.
I'm telling you that the guy looks like he has 2 left feet when he's playing first base. So I would choose at least 4 other guys that are ahead of Norby defensively at first. And then the other problem is, I think that we raised a good point with Christopher Morel coming back. When he does come back, who is the odd man out there? Because Norby, he's 26 years old. He doesn't have anything left to prove at the minor league level. But since that 2024 second half, it's been a real struggle for the right-handed bat. Yeah. And I don't know what Miami can do about it. I know they invested a lot in him with the trade of Trevor Rogers, who just continues to pitch outstanding for Baltimore. But I would be lying if I didn't say I was concerned with the offensive profile that I'm seeing from Norby. It doesn't look like he's made any of those adjustments. It looks like the league had adjusted to him right after that little short stint in 2024, and he has not adjusted back. So aside from my irrational bias against him at first base, I think we got to be concerned about his offensive approach.
Well, going to that offensive approach, because there is questions with it. Do you think that he has any value if the Marlins potentially could move him? We haven't ruled out a trade because there's so many guys. You got to move on from somebody.
Yeah, for sure. There's prospect pedigree. If Dane Myers can get you something on the open market, there's definitely some sort of value for a guy like Norby. But you can't sell low. This is Peter Bennington we're talking about, and he does not sell low on his assets, and that would be undoubtedly selling low. So I don't know if you let him figure it out in AAA Jacksonville. It's just there's just so many concerns with that swing plane and the speed and the black. I don't know how he hit as many home runs as he did in 2024, because I just don't see where that power is going to come from. He had some good swings in spring training, but he just doesn't walk. He's not going to get on base. He's walked 1 time this year in 17 at bats, so that's whatever. But he's just not going to get on base.
It's frustrating because we saw him on opening day actually take some good at bats. If I remember correctly, the Saturday game too, he also had some good at bats. So he's very capable of having a good approach. I don't know what's going on between the ears, but he seems to know that he needs a better approach, and he seems to have put in the work to have a better approach, and we've seen it in action. And for whatever reason, we just don't see it consistently enough. We've seen that he can.
Yeah, he did have a good day on opening day. Saturday, I don't know what he went over 3 with no walks and a strikeout, but yeah, there's been glimpses. There has been glimpses last year too before he was hurt. There was that little stretch right before he was hurt where unfortunately sort of segued him away, but hopefully he can turn it around because hey, if he starts hitting the ball well, you got Morel coming back and maybe he can be something interesting. Then maybe Davidson Dos Santos is someone you can maybe get something for. So it's just layers and layers of talent, which is what Miami has.
And it's going to be interesting because you have, who is it? You have Morel out, you have Ruiz out, and you have Stowers out. I understand that Ruiz does have an option, but I don't know. I feel like they want him there. And now you have Slater, who kind of also is in this situation where he's on a full major league deal. It's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks to see how they manage the roster. And at the end of the day, I do think it's a good situation to have because you have talent, you have a lot of depth, and some of that depth deserves to be in the major leagues. But there were going to be tough decisions made in spring training, so those are just now delayed up until the midway or a little bit into the season now.
What I wonder before we preview the Yankee series coming up this weekend is when Stowers does come back, is that something where Slater is just a placeholder? Or does he actually have a real role on this team? Because the way I look at it is if Esteury Ruiz never had gotten hurt, he's probably the Austin Slater on the Marlins right now. If he was healthy as well, that was probably going to be his role, right-handed hitting outfielder. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see over the next couple of weeks. But real quick, let's go to Jet Ski, our partners over at Jet Ski, because this podcast is brought to you by them. Jet Ski Rentals of South Florida, offering Miami's best jet ski and boat adventures. With 6 jet ski locations and over 120 boats, there's something for every style and every budget. Ride jet skis right in front of the downtown skyline and Ferris wheel, or book your own private boat starting as low as $300 with a captain included. Bring your drinks, your friends, and enjoy the water your way. The boat is completely yours for the time you reserve it. They're reservation-based only. To book, call 305-990-2192 or check them out online at sfjetskirentals.com and make sure to use promo code FISHONFIRST and receive 10% off your next booking. Yankees, Marlins. The Marlins are heading up to the Bronx for the first road trip. Short road trip because I think they're coming back home next week, but a little road trip up the East Coast to face the Yankees. Lots of storylines in this one. I want to first talk about the Marlins facing old friend Ryan Weathers. Yes, Jazz Chisholm Jr., of course. They've seen him before, but Ryan Weathers will be throwing this series. He's scheduled to throw that Saturday evening at 7:05 Eastern time. Weathers made his first start in a Yankees uniform against the Seattle Mariners. Looked pretty solid. I'm sure he's got revenge on his mind. The Yankees look tough. Really, really tough pitching to start the season. Max Fried looks unreal. The Marlins will face him Sunday. Isaac, your thoughts on facing Weathers for the first time since the trade?
Yeah, you said it, Jeremiah. This team looks good. This is a team that really most of their lineup has not gotten going quite yet. I'm a big Ben Rice fan. He's gotten off to a hot start. So is Giancarlo Stanton, which we'll touch on him a little bit later. But this is a team that's 4-1, despite not getting a great performance from their starting lineup. But they're pitching, man. If Ryan Weathers can do what we know he's capable of doing over a full season of health, Max Fried is just unstoppable. I'm a massive Max Fried fan. Fellow Hebrew, happy pass over to him. And you just get what they get from the bullpen additions that they got last year. Hopefully they don't pitch the way they did in Miami, but if they can do what we know they're capable of, David Bednar and Camilo Doval, this team is going to be really hard to beat going forward. I'm not just talking about this Marlins series over the weekend, but I'm talking about getting into October. It's going to be a really fun team to follow. That's not even counting whatever additions they do add in July. And they obviously have some guys in the minor leagues that are available to help out instantly. And maybe a Spencer Jones, maybe George Lombard could see a little cup of coffee in September as well. So it's going to be a fun team to face. This is going to be really a tough test for Miami. Like you mentioned, Jeremiah, they're going to face Max Fried on Sunday against Chris Paddock. I would open Miami up as plus 250 underdogs. I would, if I had to guess. Meyer against Weathers will be a really fun matchup. I think that's the one that I'm circling. And then you got Yuri Perez against Will Warren, and that's the home opener on Friday. It's going to be really tough. Those Yankee fans are going to be going insane, and it's going to be a really good test for a young guy in Yuri Perez, another guy in Max. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll have boots on the ground over there. And Eli Sussman representing his company, Fish on First, on Friday and Saturday for us.
Daniel Rodriguez in the house. Let's talk about Giancarlo Stanton. Big G off to a terrific start with the Yankees. Offseason talk was that Stan couldn't open a bottle. He couldn't open a can of chips. His elbows were gone. And now look at, he's back. Big G. The Yankees look good. The offense looks good. What are your thoughts on Stan? Is his success sustainable the rest of the way?
It'll be tough to say if it's sustainable because we've heard this a lot from Giancarlo. He'll get hurt before the season, then he'll go off to a semi-good start, a good start for a couple months, and then maybe he'll fall off to a cliff. But as right now, the beginning of the 2026 season, this is a Giancarlo Stanton of old that we're seeing, at least for this small glimmer of a stretch. He's had 2 hits in every game he's played so far this season, including 2 doubles for Giancarlo, which is really incredible. A home run, this is just really great. And also with the Yankees need as well, you look at a guy like Judge, who maybe started off a little slow, but is now coming back to what his normal is. And the Yankees can really use Giancarlo Stanton's hot hand. It's just incredible to see. I know with Giancarlo, you're not going to get anything defensively at all. And then him around the bases is just probably as good as I will be around the bases. But it'll be good. It's always a fun matchup when we see Giancarlo against the Marlins. I know maybe for him it'll be a little more of an added edge, always going up against the Marlins compared to maybe other teams. And for Miami, it's not a guy to sniff around. It's not a guy like, oh, he's older, he's injured, maybe an easy out or two. But it's going to be difficult. Giancarlo, I think, again, also at Yankee Stadium, might get the better of the Marlins this series. Just we'll have to see how it goes.
So also you're facing former Marlin Ryan Weathers, obviously Giancarlo Stanton, but let's talk about Jazz Chisholm Jr., one of the most polarizing players in the sport of baseball. Guys, I saw a video on Twitter, scrolling Twitter last night, and I thought it was fake. Like full transparency.
I know what you're talking about.
AI or something. So some company is interviewing Jazz, some media group, and they say, speak when you have a player that's better than you. And Jazz doesn't speak. And the names included in that video included guys like Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, and Jazz stayed silent the entire time. Like, he thinks he's the best player. Yeah, confidence. That's one of his things. But Krutchik, Jazz Chisholm, Marlins face him again. Your thoughts on the return of the Marlins to play Jazz in his new home ballpark?
You know, he's a really funny guy. And
Yeah.
there he is. Okay, he's a really funny guy. He's actually like a pretty nice guy to talk to. He has a very inflated ego. And honestly, he's one of those guys where like I just can't tell if he's doing a thing where he's like trying to play a character or if he genuinely, because there's no way. Like there's no way that he genuinely thinks that he's better than Ohtani, I would hope. But he likes to play this character where he's just like the big, bad, Yankee, flashy player. And yeah, he's not as good as the way he would speak would have you believe.
Yes, his OPS.
There's no need to even put. There's like no need to put audio on this video because he doesn't stop. So he doesn't talk. So I just muted it. But yes,
what's his OPS? Can you guess it, Kevin? Sorry to cut you off. Can you guess his OPS?
I can tell you I can tell you his OPS plus right now. It's 7. He has an OPS plus of 7. It's in 5 games.
Just the number 7.
He's been terrible. He's been terrible. He's struck out. He has a 358 OPS. He has struck out 7 times in 20 plate appearances. He has 3 hits. He's yet to hit a homer, and I guess he leads baseball with 2 steals, or he leads the Yankees. I'm sorry, with 2 steals. So he's not been good.
There you go.
So this is not the right time to do this video if you're Jazz. But you know what? It's fine. He has an opportunity to come home or home in New York and see what he does. And in a very hitter-friendly ballpark for him. And he did have a great – I mean, you got to give the guy credit. He had an awesome season last year. I mean, I think he went 30-30 or 20-20. He did something very impressive.
30-30.
And his low light was the home run derby. Let's not forget. But he did look good. He did look good. I got to give him credit where credit is due. And so far, I don't know who's won that trade. We could even talk about that a little bit because Augustine, obviously, defensively has been struggling. He's looked better this year. But I don't know. I'll open it to you guys. What do you think so far? Early on was when the trade. I would have to assume the Yankees by just a little bit because of how good Jazz has been for them, that lineup.
I would agree with you there, Kevin. I think with Augustine, we've had this the whole offseason, just how bad he is defensively. We're even talking about his DH, first baseman, the future of the Marlins 5 years from now. Augustine is not in that in terms of a catcher. We have Joe Mack, Hicks, who's been the hottest hitter in baseball all season. Getting pieces for players who don't even have a defensive position. Where is Jared Serna in all this? Like, where are these players that the Marlins got? And you mentioned, Kevin, last year, Jazz had a 30-30. Like, come on, that's really incredible. No matter what you say about Jazz, his confidence, his attitude, whatever the case may be, having 30-30 seasons very impressive, and you deserve to have at least some type of confidence for that. But as of right now, what are we? April 1st, no April Fool's joke. I think the Yankees have won that trade.
Yeah. So a couple of quick things on that. Daniel's right. At the end of the day, this is going to be a Jazz for Ramirez trade. Like I'm not a big believer in Jared Serna. Abraham Ramirez, who knows what he becomes. But you got to keep in mind, it is 2.5 years. He's a free agent at the end of the year. And if Jazz were to some reason not re-sign with the Yankees, which I'm not sure if he will, then it's a bit of an argument. I agree that Ramirez has a lot left to be desired with the defense behind the plate. He looked a lot better in his first 6 games of the season. Well, I guess he's only caught 3, but he looked good in the opening homestand against Colorado, the opening series, I should say. And if he can continue doing what he can do with the bat, is hit 20 homers, hit 240, slug 400, I think you can say it was not only a even trade, but then it's addition by subtraction, getting that guy out of your clubhouse too. I don't think you can call it a win for the Yankees. I think it's a little contingent on what happens with him in his free agency. So, but yes, as of now, you got to give it to the Yankees. But I think it could go the other way around if he does not re-sign with New York. And if Ramirez remember, Miami has 5 more years of Agustin Ramirez. He's very young. He's a very young guy who can catch, well, a bit, but I'd say it's
He's trying.
Better than us.
I'd say it's 50-50 for now, but it's a very fair question to ask because I think you can call Serna and Ramirez organizational depth pieces at this point.
As much as the criticism exists out there for Jazz, he's still a guy that went 30-30 last year on a postseason team. And
it doesn't mean what it used to mean. 30-30. It does not mean with all the stolen
It's still impressive, though.
It's incredibly impressive. I think that the Marlins have a couple, maybe they have a guy that can do that, but the stolen base aspect of those stats don't exactly mean what they used to. Like when Hanley did it, it's a lot different than when like Acuna's stealing 70 bases.
I agree with that.
It's not the same anymore, unfortunately, with the new rules, but it's still something that's extremely impressive and only a real special type of talent can do it, who's got the speed and power combination that he has. And I think the best part of his game, Jazz, is his eye at the plate. He's got a hell of an eye. He's a smart hitter at times, and he's a special talent, but I like Ramirez too.
We'll bring in Carver now, talk about the pitching matchups this weekend. Start off Yuri for the Marlins against Will Warren. Max Meyer will face Ryan Weathers. And then that Sunday game, the second start for Chris Paddock against the Yankees ace Max Fried. I know, Carver, you were a little bit higher on Paddock's start. Felt like he got unlucky with that FIP against the Chicago White Sox. But run through the pitching matchups. What do you like? What do you don't like? What are you excited to see?
Yeah, I think as I talked about smarts, I think Chris Paddock is one of the smartest pitchers that we've seen in the Marlins uniform in a while. I mean, that's no slight on any other guys, but Chris Paddock speaks well. I think he throws very heady. I know they're not calling pitches anymore. The Marlins are doing it, but to be able to throw 6 pitches advantageously is pretty impressive to me and know how to inside out hitters. I think he elevated the fastball well in that start as well. He did get over the plate a little bit too much to that one home run, yes, but that home run by Myers took like a perfect swing. You're only catching up to that pitch with a perfect swing. He got it. It went opposite field. That's a credit to the hitter. That wasn't really a bad pitch. He allowed, I think, 4 of his hits were under 80 miles an hour exit velocity. He got Isaac alluded to it. I was listening in. Very, very, very unlucky in that start. I'm not saying he's going to be perfect. I'm not saying the Marlins can probably expect, a sub-3 ERA or even a 3 ERA, but he's a lot better than what he showed in that start. So I would expect to bounce back. I know it's a tough opponent with the Yankees. They're always a tough opponent, but I would expect him to be better in this game. I know he's also going up against Max Fried, so the Marlins are going to have to solve that. So I think it's going to be a good game, a more contentious game than a lot of Marlins fans think right now when they see Chris Paddock and his inflated ERA against their ace. So I think that game's on Sunday. I think it is still going to be a game to watch with the Marlins team that is, as a lot of us predicted, pretty damn scrappy. Offense showed up today. They won some one-run games already this year against lesser opponents. So this is their toughest test yet, of course, with the Yankees clearly, but I would expect all 3 of these games to be pretty contentious. Yuri is always good, just getting him deeper into games. Max Meyer, we'll see. I know we have our doubts about him. I don't think his first start was very good, but we'll see what he can do in the second game. But the Paddock game, I'm really keeping an eye on to see him shut a lot of people up after that first start.
It's going to be a tougher environment, though, for Paddock. Yeah, it's going to be a tougher environment. Yankee Stadium, very hitter-friendly. It's one of the toughest environments to play in. I'm curious to see, and I was looking just before the stream what Paddock's numbers were in New York, or against, not in New York, against the Yankees in general. And all I'm going to tell you is the second to last start he had against the Yankees, he gave up 7 runs. So it has not gone very well for him. But I do agree. He was a little bit unlucky in this last start. I mean, we noted that the start that he had, those first 2 innings for Chris Paddock is what you hope and get for most of his starts, because he was on it. He was really good. He got a lot of swing and miss. The sweeper he even mentioned, which is a newer pitch for him, he used it. It looked good. Unfortunately, when you when you throw a changeup right down the middle, there's not, you're making it easy for anyone to hit a grand slam off of you. The first one off of Hayes was a little bit tough because it was a great pitch, but it wasn't one that you would think Hayes would go oppo on, and he did. And that was a tough one. And yeah, I mean, overall, I think he was not good, but he wasn't bad. And I think the line doesn't speak for how Paddock pitched on what was it, Monday. So I'm curious to see what that looks like in New York. It's a very tough lineup, as you see. No baseball savant things yet for most of these guys. The Marlins will have a lot of red towards the top there. But Daniel, your thoughts on the Yankees and how they would fare, how the Marlins fare against the Yankees a little bit.
I'm really interested to see the Ryan Weathers start, just to see how the Marlins do against someone they know well, really, going up against him in spring training and in the clubhouse, and just everything they know about Ryan Weathers, and maybe even the coaching staff. A guy like Clayton, what he can even call up against Ryan Weathers. I think that's going to be really interesting. Also, how the Marlins are going to hit in Yankee Stadium. I don't know if I'm wrong. Austin Slater was a Yankee at some point, I believe. What was he? Yeah. So he might get a couple maybe a start in there against the Yankees as well. It'll be very interesting. See how they do. I really want to see Jacob Marcy pick it up. He's had a bit of a slow start this season, and I really expect big things from him this year, and hopefully starting up against the Yankees. And really, if Liam Hicks continue, that incredible start, and see how they divide his playing time with Agustin now, especially with how hot Liam has been, I think that's really going to be a telltale going into the Yankees. And looking at the Yankees, obviously Giancarlo, you have Aaron Judge, Jazz, even Paul Goldschmidt, who's now coming off the bench for them. Really interesting, and also young lineup with some guys like Austin Wells, Ben Rice. Very, very. It should be a very fun. It's always a fun series against the Yankees.
Daniel, I think that the easy answer is just keep both guys in the lineup. Keep Augustine at the DH when Hicks is catching, and when Augustine's catching, have Hicks DH. I mean, you got to let the guy swing. He's swinging a really hot bat, hitting the ball hard. I want to see them both in the lineup at the same time for the foreseeable future, unless something changes, somebody cools down, you make an adjustment here and there. Isaac, Yuri Perez making his second start of the season looked pretty good against the Rockies. I know it was Colorado. He gave up a couple of home runs, but at the end of the day, he still completed 7 innings, struck out 8. And now he's probably going to face one of his toughest tests all season long in New York against the Yankees in April. How confident are you in Yuri in start number 2 this season?
Based off of his season opening start on Saturday against the Rockies, I would be very confident. I think that all of last year coming back from Tommy John, the stuff really looked good. I think the command and some of the other mechanics, it took a little bit of time for him to get back in the swing of things. And this spring training, he looked really good all spring long. We know that he's got a little bit of a home run problem. So when you ask me how's my confidence level going into this start in particular, I'd be a little concerned. Home opener for the New York Yankees. The kid is still just, 21, 22 years old. He's going to be facing a lot of big boppers in that lineup, including Judge, including Stanton, including Ben Rice, including Jazz. So I think 5 innings of less than 2 or 3 earned runs, it would be considered a win for me. I'd really have tempered expectations for this one. But then again, as good as he looked in all spring and against Colorado, if he can navigate through this lineup, like we said earlier in the show, a lot of the Yankee guys have not gone off to fantastic starts, including Judge, including Jazz. So there's a chance that he can sort of navigate through this lineup and give them a quality start, which would be a huge success for Miami. And then I trust the bullpen to really shorten the game out over there in the Bronx. So I would say anything more than 5 or 6 innings would be a huge success for Yuri in this start.
Yeah, this is one of those series in which you look at the bullpen as a strength and you want to rely upon it if you can, especially with the back end of your rotation. I know Yuri has the potential to be great. We'll see how he fares, but with Paddock and Meyer, there's a chance that they don't pitch deep into this game. So the bullpen's going to be huge. Bender, Fauché, obviously Pete Fairbanks. Real quick, Carver, your thoughts on Max Meyer? It just kind of looked like he struggled a little bit in that first inning, gave up a lot of pitches, and then he settled down, and it made you think, okay, well, it wasn't as bad as it looked at first, but the Rockies and Yankees could not be further apart in terms of talent. I'm worried about Meyer heading into New York. Your thoughts on Max and start number 2 for him this season?
Yeah, 53% slider. That's that says all you need to know about Max Meyer. He can't do it. You cannot get away with that in Major League Baseball. And like you said, against better opponents, they're going to make you pay. He didn't have what are his secondary pitches. Obviously, his primary is a slider. Everything else is secondary to it. Barely threw the fastball. Didn't really have control of it. I get it's the first start of the year. Maybe you're amped up and everything, but you can't throw 53% slider and get away with it. So when he doesn't have his other pitches, that's what he's going to have to do is rely on the slider. It did get him through this first start of the season, where after the first time facing the lineup, he got a little bit better. But I think if that's the case again against the Yankees, they're not going to not make him pay for using one pitch. So, you need to be able to have your secondary pitches. The slider, as we know, is great. When you don't have those secondary pitches and have to lean on one pitch, guys are going to wait you out. So if he does that, what he did against the Rockies, against the Yankees, they're going to be in trouble. So he needs to have those secondary pitches with him, mix them in, even if he doesn't have full confidence and not just rely on the slider. He's going to have to throw the secondary pitcher. So monitoring his usage is going to be a huge factor in if this guy can stick as a starting pitcher. But from what we saw in that first start, I'm not confident.
And with that, guys, we're going to start with our predictions for this weekend series.
This is prediction time.
That's my prediction, but who knows?
Let's quickly look at last series against Colorado. A lot of us won. In fact, all of us won, including all the staffers.
Oh my God.
Shout out Eli Sussman.
Yeah.
Perfect. He redeemed himself after picking Colorado last series. Goes Liam Hicks as the MVP. Had a couple other ones, David Fernandez, Robert Hansen. So pretty good for everybody here.
I also have the leaderboards, and I can pull that up right about now. Where are they? Right here. There we go. We have Rings at the top. Gabriel Revilla, number 2. Yours truly, number 3. Hector, Carver, Jeremiah, Daniel, some of our staff.
It's all, we're all 1 point off. Everyone.
Slowly but surely.
So that's why you're not in there. But you'll build yourself back up soon. And alrighty, let's do it. Let me find the music, and we'll get this going. Where is it? Oh, this is great. Where is it? Oh, here it is.
We'll start here with Isaac Azut.
I think the Marlins have their work cut out for them this weekend. Max Fried, home openers. It's going to be a tough series to win, but I do see them squeezing one out. Yankees win 2 out of 3, and Giancarlo Cruz, Michael Stanton is gonna home run Friday, MVP.
Let's go Kevin Barral.
Unfortunately, going to pick against the Marlins. The Yankees will win 2 out of 3, and I think the MVP is going to be Mr. Aaron Judge. I think you can't go wrong with that pick, although he has not gotten off to a good start this season, but I think he bounces back.
Mr. Daniel Rodriguez.
I think the Marlins are a good team, but I think the Yankees are a better team. And with that, I have the Yankees sweeping this series. It's going to be a very tough outing for the Marlins. And my MVP, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go Cody Bellinger. 2 home runs this series.
I like it.
Alex Carver.
Yeah, I think the pitching will tip in the Yankees' favor in this series. I don't think Paddock will be as bad. I think Meyer's a question mark. So I think it'll tip in the Yankees' favor in their home opening series. Let's go Jazz, MVP.
Nice. And finally, if I can, there we go. Myself, I think the Marlins are on the right trajectory, but I think the Yankees are a great team, a real good team, World Series contenders. I expect their pitching to lead the way, and that's why I'm going to go with Max Fried as the MVP. I think he twirls a gem on that Sunday. Yankees win 2 out of 3. All right, so there we have it. Reminder, guys, the next Fish on First Live is going to be after the Yankees series on Sunday. So be sure to like, subscribe, share, and we will talk to you soon. For Isaac Azut, Kevin Barral, Alex Carver, Daniel Rodriguez, I'm Jeremiah Geiger, and saying so long till Sunday.